Mark Buddy, New South Wales Upper House. I want to start by thanking these loyal Qantas employees who are a few in a long line of people who have been abused by the CEO of this company and the Prime Minister. And I also want to thank their unions who represent them day in and day out. That is the FAAA and the TWU who have coverage in this industry. You would have all been aware of the character assessment that the former Premier Gladys Berejiklian made of our Prime Minister, and that character that she manifested in the media is now on display for all to see again. Let's remember what's happened here over the last couple of years. We had a situation where through a pandemic, this corporate giant received more corporate welfare than any other entity in Australia. Over $1 billion in taxpayer funds for the purpose of people being connected to their employment. And the thanks that Qantas employees get and the way that Joyce used that money was to go around and sack over 2,000 ground staff about 18 months ago. Illegally. It was found illegally. Now, on top of that, these flight attendants and cabin crew who flew into Wuhan and other areas to repatriate Australians, this is before the vaccines existed, so putting their livelihoods and welfare at risk for the sake of bringing Australians back, are rewarded with the termination of their agreement. And let's be clear about what termination means. You have an agreement which sits up here, which is negotiated over many, many years of collective bargaining, decent wages and conditions, the sort of wages and conditions we've come to expect in a decent society that we're proud of in Australia. And then you have the award down here. What Joyce is proposing is to bring that agreement, which has been historically negotiated, down to award rates, which would effectively mean between 40 and 60% of wage cuts for these employees. That's the thanks they get. 90-minute notices for on-call rosters. In other words, we'll give you 90 minutes, sort out your affairs at home, try and fix up your childcare, organise your family because you've got to hop on a flight in 90 minutes. And cutting of rest breaks and safety standards. This is just atrocious stuff. And I think that the Australians looking at this would think, hang on a minute, this airline trades on the idea of the spirit of Australia. So you're going out there to the world portraying an ethos and value system that the Australian spirit is all about sticking together and enjoying life based on a good quality wage and good quality wages and conditions, and then you're turning around and sacking employees hand over fist, cutting their wages and conditions, and not even sitting at the table with them to negotiate. Now, the unions are prepared and the employees are prepared to negotiate a fair outcome, but clearly what's happened here is that the CEO has gone out with a conscious, bloody-minded industrial relations strategy of putting out an agreement to vote that he knew would get voted down so he could use as a trigger for termination. This is the sort of stuff you'd expect in the United States, not in a country like Australia which values its workforce and wants to see decent wages and conditions. And I just say to Scott Morrison, who has a responsibility to step in here and pull his mate Alan Joyce, who he's running a protection racket for, pull him into line and get him to come to the table, negotiate with the employees and the unions for a fair and decent outcome. And we won't stop backing these people in until we get that outcome. Thanks very much.